The Repair Lot, a one-stop shop where a crack team of experts bring classic cars roaring back to life.
20 years and it's fired up.
Is it then? Hey?
No job is too tough, no car too challenging.
No, I've truly never seen a car like this. It's amazing.
Award-winning motoring journalist Charlie is meeting the owners.
Aaron, welcome to the workshop.
Hello, how are you doing? You all right?
And assessing how to keep their drives alive.
Immediately, that steering column is juddering up and down, isn't it?
Together with old and new school mechanics Derek and Hannah.
Hey.
That's really good, isn't it?
Result.
Yeah.
Freya the trimmer.
Right, that's all the stitching done. I'm really happy with that.
And bodywork specialist Jerry Lee.
It brings the whole car together. It really, really looks nice.
The team are on a mission.
Oh, wow, it looks so different.
To put any classic in any condition back on the road.
Absolutely fantastic!
This time, a big Jaguar, off the road since the 1960s.
So the brakes are non-existent, and then the steering is so vague that it just drifts around the road.
Hannah and Derek are shocked by the lack of stoppers.
Try a emergency. I mean, there's no emergency stop.
They battle to get the steering back on the straight and narrow.
Oh, I've got a lot of play in this wheel, Derek. It's really bad. It can't be nice to drive that.
Charlie meets a modified Mini with a big job list.
OK, I'm sensing a pattern emerging here. The car looks great on the outside, but it's not kind of functioning on the inside.
Its adjustable suspension is all over the shop.
It's an imbalance of the car, so the car is higher one side than the other side.
And Freya gets that sinking feeling tackling a collapsed seat.
It should sit up there, but it's currently down there.
Mini problems push the team to the max.
If that carries on like that, that's just going to wreck the bottom of the car.
As they try to turn back time on the vintage Jag.
And you can tell how long these brakes haven't been looked at because we've got cobwebs in them.
Waiting in the workshop today, a 1946 Jaguar saloon. The polite term for the peeling paint is patina, and this car's riddled with it. It's a family heirloom inherited by Guy, who devotes his weekends to this rolling restoration. Charlie will have a work cut out assessing what can be fixed on this old-timer.
Hey, Guy, welcome to the workshop.
Hi, Charlie.
Nice
Thank you
to
very
meet
much.
you.
And you.
The to-do list on this Jag looks like a long one.
Inherited it from my father. He was quite a collector of cars, and he restored it in the 60s. Then it went into a barn for quite a long time. And so me and my two brothers used to love playing sort of gangsters, sort of jumping on the running boards and sort of firing pretend guns at each other. Yeah, so we had a lot of sort of messing around, and occasionally Dad used to let us clean the car. So you sort of
Privilege.
privilege indeed,
Yeah.
but we never went in it because it was never running when we were growing up.
Guy's childhood plaything has been off the road since the 1960s. But he's hoping one day to take his own children out on the road. Now stored in a single lock-up garage, the Jag has had regular mechanical attention from Guy.
Love the way that its nose kind of opens out, doesn't it? It's
Yes.
quite beautiful and very unusual. You know, we don't see cars like that much anymore.
Normally you see these sort of being rocked back and rested, but this one doesn't seem to want to do that. So I've got this bit of wood to prop it up, which is the same bit of wood that I've used since I was a child, actually, to prop it up. So the engine was seized, but now it's running. So I've taken bits off and taken them down to the shed to fix them and then put them back on. Taken all the things off, like the water pump, and got that running again. It has got a lot of patina, and yeah, at the moment, I'm okay with it. So I think some people would like to see it resprayed, and I think eventually that will happen. But I quite like the history of it at the moment, so you can see the golden tan that it was originally coloured. This British racing green my dad put on, and then you can see on the wings here, this greyness comes from when he galvanised it. So at the moment, it tells a story about its history.
Guy's dad clearly cared about this car, and you can see that Guy has inherited that passion for it. He wants to share it with his kids, and so he's really putting his heart and soul into looking after it. It sounds to me that you're fairly competent and fairly confident with giving things a go. So I'm kind of wondering why you're here.
Yeah, so the driving experience is pretty awful, and the brakes and the steering are very loose. So the brakes are non-existent, and then the steering is so vague that it just drifts around the road so much that it's really difficult to drive in a straight line. It's just be really difficult to do that kind of job in a very small lockup. Any sort of help you can give on that would be really good.
Thankfully, Guy isn't asking the team to tackle the patinaed paint or the crusty cabin, but there's still a massive mechanical challenge ahead.
Next time Guy's out in that car, I want him to feel safe, I want him to feel secure, and I want to know that he's going in the right direction. So that's a big responsibility for the guys in the workshop, but I've got full faith in them.
Having a close look at the car in the daylight are expert mechanics Derek and Hannah.
Oh, it's just as bad inside as it is on the outside.
Derek reckons the best way to diagnose it is to drive it.
So, ignition, choke.
Oh, nearly.
Hey,
Sounds
all
all right.
systems go. Oh, we're off. Hey.
Blimey, Derek. So what's the steering like?
Well, it's really heavy. I'll turn it left and right a bit. Yeah, something's wrong there somewhere. It's just heavy.
Yeah? And then the brakes?
I'd use the word woolly, fluffy. They're just... I'm putting my foot down and...
Are they even doing anything?
Well, not a lot. I mean, they are nasty.
What if you do? Don't crash into the workshop?
Yeah.
That would be good.
Here we go. Let's try a emergency. I mean, there's no emergency stop.
Terrifying test over.
Thanks for the drive. That was delightful.
At the lift, they decide to investigate the bad brakes. Both front and back will need a check over.
All right.
Rear ones first.
You ready?
Up and away?
So the Jaguar brakes are a really, really old system. We have rods that come from the brake pedal that then push against what you'd call brake shoes. These brake shoes sit in brake drums. So there's like an encased brake system, and when you put your foot on the pedal, the brake shoes open up and press onto these brake drums. Really old system, and if it's not working properly, it can be quite dangerous.
Hannah's already got one side stripped down
There we go.
to see what's inside the rear brake drum.
Yeah, it's a bit corroded in there. So it obviously hasn't been, the brake lining hasn't been touching the drum. So that's the first problem. Also, we've got the shoes are also quite corroded. I mean, there's a lot of rust and dirt on those.
Yeah, and they should be nice and clean.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell how long these brakes haven't been looked at because we've got cobwebs
Yeah.
in them. So
Careful cleaning, and many of these parts can be reused.
These are corroded as well. Very dirty. Just where it hasn't been used.
The shoes, which bite onto the drums to slow the car,
that's one out.
are the next part to be probed.
So I've just got these shoes off, and Derek, I think they're going to need to be changed and rebuilt, to be honest. The lining isn't in great condition.
The brakes work through a rod system, which is next on Derek's list.
Mine's off, all good. Hannah,
Yeah?
can I steal you a moment? I've discovered something.
Yeah. What's up?
Have a look in there. See what you've got younger eyes than me.
The rod not in the right... It doesn't look like it's in the right place.
Yeah, I think what's happening is, imagine this is that rod. At the moment, what's happening is, if my fingers are the pistons that put the brakes on, it's going in and out like that and not actually moving them at all. So I think that should be that way. So as it then pushes in, pushes my fingers further apart, which applies the brakes, and then retracts again. That's not working.
The solution will be to turn the rod through 90 degrees and give the car back its brakes.
As far as we can see, none of the brakes on the rear are working, and that's due to this rod that has a tapered end on it. It's not sitting in the right place, so it's actually not pushing the pistons on to put the brakes on to the back of the car. Very dangerous, yeah. Really dangerous.
At the repair lot, Hannah and Derek have found big issues with the rear brakes on a runaway Jag. Now they're looking at the front ones and trying to work out why the steering is so sketchy.
Oh, I've got a lot of play in this wheel, Derek.
Let's have a look at your side.
Look at this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so what it is, you've got the axle, the spindle, and there's a pin that joins both of them together. And what's happening is that pin is worn, so it's just loose. It's just worn out. It's just tired.
It's really bad. That can't be nice to drive that.
So what we need to do is this kingpin needs to come out.
To get to the kingpins, the brake drums need to come off. There's dirt everywhere, so like the rear ones, they'll also need a thorough clean and fresh shoes. Once freed, the kingpins should just tap out. But after 50 years untouched...
I'm expecting possibly a little bit of hard work trying to get these kingpins out. We may have seized parts, we've got to take bolts out, nuts off, and if anything's seized, we're going to have trouble. And also, the pin is quite a large piece, so anything that's seized or where it's, you know, got hot, we could have real problems with that. I'm having real trouble trying to get this mud off.
Eventually, after a lot of cleaning, Derek can see the kingpin clearly, and he tries to persuade it out.
I think it's just stuck, which is not what we wanted.
So if we can't get the kingpins out, may have to use some heat on it, a lot of penetrating fluid. Also, it looks like maybe I have to take the bearing and also where the shoes sit, the back plate off, to get better access to it. Big job, nightmare. Not what we want to do.
Come on.
Hannah and Derek strip their sides back to the bare bones.
Come on, there we go.
So they've got complete access to the kingpins to give them a proper bash.
I've got movement, Hannah.
Really?
Yeah. There we go. It's coming out. Nearly there. Yes, it's out. Break out the champagne.
At least we've got one off. Just one left to go now.
You wait for one kingpin to come out, and then...
I'm out.
You out?
Yep. Both kingpins out?
Yeah, that's brilliant.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been a task.
The team have got a lot of brake cleaning to do, and they'll now have to track down rare replacement kingpins because these are damaged beyond repair. Hannah and Derek have a huge job on their hands. Heading into the workshop today, a Pocket Rocket, a modified Mini that gets plenty of likes. Owner Azim loves photographing his social media star car. But recently, he's hit big issues, and he can't find anyone to focus on sorting out his characterful car. Workshop assessor Charlie is zooming in on the Mini.
Azim, wicked to see you.
Hi, nice to see you.
Welcome to the workshop.
Thank you very
Small
much.
car, massive first impressions. What is it about the Mini that you like so much, though?
I think it's a little bit like me. It's small but loud. I like the fact that you can park it anywhere, and it's a bit eye-catching. When I was about 3, my dad had one, which he was restoring, but he never finished, and ever since then, I always wanted one. It's got a lot of personality.
Mention the Mini and people know what you're talking about. There's a lot of love for this car around the world. It puts a smile on your face. Azim's Mini is from the 1990s, but shares DNA with the first cars born back in the late 50s. Its boxy shape was radical then and is still going viral today.
I actually go around central London quite often, take it around like all the sort of famous shops and what have you.
Yeah.
Park it in their doorways and take photos, so that's kind of my little hobby that I use it for.
Favourite angle? I mean, it's pretty cool from the front. You've got these kind of pearlescent lights going on. You know, she's a looker.
I think it's the back, actually.
Azim's slick photos have gained his car a cult following on the modified scene. On the outside, it looks sharp, but he knows there's plenty of problems in the interior.
It's not super comfortable.
No.
Is that something we want to look at?
Yeah, the seats, the foam in them has gone a bit funny, especially when you're sort of going along the motorway and you go over a bump, sort of feel it cut into your thighs a little bit, so it's not the most comfortable thing. So it's something that I kind of need to sort out sooner rather than later.
And it's not just the seats that need a boost.
It's mostly original, except I've added a few gauges on the left there. I've added a little button down here, which is fire missiles.
Does it fire missiles?
It doesn't do anything but look nice at the moment.
Maybe something we can look at.
Never mind firing up the missiles, what about that raucous engine under the bonnet?
So this looks the part, but is it performing the way you wanted it to?
Well, no, it's not. It starts OK, but on cold mornings it's not the best, but it is actually not running right at all. I find it sometimes it's a bit of a struggle just to stay above 50.
OK, I'm sensing a pattern emerging here. The car looks great on the outside, but it's not kind of functioning on the inside. Is there anything else that needs a bit of attention?
Well, I did change the suspension entirely. Although I've adjusted it, just can't get it right. It always feels like you're lopsided. You always feel like you're leaning a little bit to the back and to the right, which isn't very comfortable.
This Mini looks picture perfect, but there's problems with the interior, engine and suspension, and you can't fix them with a photo filter.
I think this is going to be a big challenge for a very tiny car. It's pretty much all show, no go at the moment, and we need to turn that round.
First up, mechanics Derek and Hannah get the lowdown on that suspect suspension using a high-tech laser level.
Right, so I'll get this set up. It's important we check the suspension is even. I think that's the first thing we really need to look at. Right, I'll try and get it...
Go down a bit.
Yep. Yep.
Happy?
It looks good from here, yeah. Let's measure up. What have you got?
I've got 46.
Yeah, I've got exactly the same. Bang on, 46.
If it was uneven, that could explain Azim's bad ride experience, but it's not. So Derek and Hannah decide to check the arms and trumpets, which can be adjusted to set the ride height for the body.
I think they're adjusted differently.
Oh, you've got a spare bit.
So if you look there, mine's adjusted higher.
You've got 3 threads and I've got 2. That's interesting. So there's an imbalance of the car. So the car is higher one side than the other side.
Yeah. So the Mini has got a different suspension that's been put on. It's had an upgraded suspension fitted. But what you have to do with any car that's had something different fitted is go through it and make sure that it has been fitted properly, it's been adjusted properly. I need to make sure that everything is level, even, and that the suspension is given the best ride possible.
Yeah, so there's an issue straight away.
A tiny difference between the thread adjustments makes a massive impact on the driving experience. The shock absorbers are the other vital suspension part in the mix.
These are adjustable shock absorbers. So if, for argument's sake, your one is adjusted different to this one, so one's higher than the other, and the shocks are set up not correct or not sort of matching each other, it's going to be that sort of fairground bumper car sort of ride that is just going to keep oscillating as he goes over bumps.
Yeah, I think especially with something this shorter wheelbase as well.
Yeah.
If you get anything that's...
It's going to be like a dodgem car.
It's going to be horrible.
A quick diagnosis of the damping on the shock absorbers confirms their worst fears.
So what I had was on my side of the car was the damper was harder. And then on the other side of the car, it was set at its softest, so it didn't have the same damping effect. So what you've got is a car that's not evenly damping and also isn't at the same ride height, so you're getting a complete mismatch of suspension adjustments on each side of the car. So, yeah, real big problem.
At the repair lot, Derek and Hannah are troubleshooting a suspect suspension. They've stripped the adjustable shock absorbers and ride height parts to reset the system. Starting with the shock absorber, where each click setting makes the suspension stiffer.
1, feel like cracking a safe. 2, 3, 4.
Well, mine was set up to be the hardest, and it wasn't doing anything.
And mine was set up softest.
So what are we doing, 7 clicks?
Yeah, okay. 5, 6, 7. That's
so
good.
We're both set up the same, aren't we, on that?
Yep, so I've got 7, you've got 7 as well.
Right, we'll get on to cleaning these arms now, because these are the ride height of the vehicle.
Yeah, yeah.
So clean these up, put some new grease in, and also make sure that our adjustments are the same as well.
Yeah, definitely. This is a whole thing of setting up the car to get the whole car balanced while driving down the road.
The adjustable settings need to be millimetre accurate.
So if I measure my height, and then we'll go off what my height was.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure in between the 2 nuts.
They transfer this baseline setting across.
I'll just turn that a bit more, how's that?
Yep, spot on. So they're exactly the same.
Brilliant.
The rear suspension is now reset, balanced and ready to go back on. But they also need to check the front suspension too. After all the ruckus on the rear, the focus moves to the front suspension on the Mini. Surely that can't be as bad?
So there's a lot of clearance on that bump stop, which is really good, which allows for the travel, which we need. OK, so let's have a look at the suspension travel over the other side. Oh, OK, can you see that OK?
Yeah. Oh. Have you seen the bump stop?
Yeah, it's actually touching.
Yeah, suspension is resting on it. And I think it's actually pushing it up slightly as well.
Yeah, that's not good. If that carries on like that, that's just going to wreck the bottom of the car.
So the front was just as bad. You can see that the suspension, again, isn't adjusted to the same height. So we've got the same problem again.
So this is a real no-no, because this bump stop is touching the top of the suspension, and without any travel, it's going to damage the car.
This skew-width suspension needs sorting. Dropping the Mini down a little and stripping off the wheels gives them a clean visual on the shonky setup.
How many threads did you say you've got?
That's 6.
Yeah, I've got none.
OK.
None whatsoever. So mine is fully adjusted to the lowest possible level it could be.
Right. That makes the car quite unbalanced.
Yeah.
Hannah adjusts the thread on her side to match the suspension setting on the other corner, evening the Mini up. Derek drops it down on the jack to check the clearances.
It's actually lifted mine up slightly as well, because now the car's balanced. Because before it was obviously tipping it.
Yeah. This will run a lot better now.
The Mini has retained its mean look, but it'll also corner cleanly now too. For car trimmer Freya, the Mini front seat presents a tricky challenge.
I'm sure it turns loads of heads at shows, but unfortunately, just feeling around, I can feel the bars sticking through where they're meant to hold the foam up. They're no longer holding it, and the foam seems to have collapsed on both sides.
Azim loves this colour-coordinated sports seat in his modified Mini and hopes it can be saved.
So I just need to push these little bits in, and the base will just pop out, like that. I get rid of that, and now I'm ready to take this apart.
The seat has a steel frame, an outer fake suede cover, and a foam inner.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there's quite a lot of damage there. Some hefty holes. It should sit up there, but it's currently down there.
The foam looks badly damaged, but with years of experience, Freya knows she can work with what she's got.
So this is the glue I use. It's a high temperature contact adhesive. You spread it on with a glue brush. You wait for it to go a little bit tacky. Takes a couple of minutes. Push the two sides together, and then jobs are good and it's done. It dries pretty instantly. I won't be able to get this foam back apart again.
That's the top of the seat. Now Freya moves to the underside.
So I've cut 2 bits of hessian out. I'm gonna add some glue onto the hessian and glue the inside of the foam here, which will give some support to the foam and will act as a barrier with these metal bars so that hopefully the bars won't come through again.
Freya's got a long day ahead to get this seat sorted and mounted in the Mini, but it should give Azim the figure-hugging support his sporty car needs. While Freya cracks on, Hannah is trying to sort the poor start and rough running issue on the Mini, beginning with some basic checks on the engine.
This fuel pipe here, which leads into the carburettor, is full of cuts. What has happened is that rubber on that fuel pipe has actually perished, and it's not looking good. And the issue with that is if that actually cuts through to where the petrol goes through, then it will spray over the engine, and we have a potential fire hazard there, which is really quite serious. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pipe off and I'm going to replace it with a new one.
That's an unexpected issue, but it won't cause the rough running. Hannah knows that often comes down to a faulty carburettor, hidden away at the back of the tiny engine bay.
So the carburettor looks fine on the car, but it has so many components within it, and there's so many adjustments within the casing of that carburettor that I need to take it off and take it apart and give it a good clean and really investigate if there's anything in there that's wrong.
Over on the bench, Hannah strips it down. Hope she doesn't need that part again. She's looking closely at how the fuel enters the carb, because to run right, the engine needs a good petrol supply.
This pipe leads from the fuel chamber into where it pushes into the carb, and it's almost like it's been trapped at some point or it's been hit, but it's got a kink in it. This could be causing a problem with fuel delivery into here. It's also a safety issue as well, so I'm going to replace that.
This tiny pipe in the carb needs sorting, but Hannah won't know if replacing it'll fix the rough running until a new part arrives. On the Mini interior, Freya has been hard at work. She's added a layer of grey scrim foam to protect the seat base and smooth off the shape.
Right, to get the best finish on this seat, I'm going to glue the cover to the top of the base of the foam so that it doesn't pull out of the seat when I then pull the rest of the cover around the sides.
It's out with the spray adhesive, and then it's all about the curves.
It actually feels like the foam is sitting on the bars where it should and being held upright like this, how it should be, instead of collapsed.
To get the right fit, Freya stretches the fabric and holds it in place with hog rings.
So now I've got all the hog rings in, flip it over, and that cover is fitting lovely again.
With the seat back together, Freya bolts the frame to the mini floor for a firm fix.
Awesome, that's all secure. Job done. It's looking brilliant. Well chuffed with that.
Back with the Jaguar, Derek's cleaned up the rear brake system and spun the wheels on. And he's got news on the dodgy steering.
Managed to get a new set of kingpins. This is our new one. But what we've got to do is, on this point here, this is the bearing the kingpin slides into. This needs to be replaced.
Derek presses the old bearings out.
Nearly there. Yes. That's my first one. Now I've got the old ones out. It's the same process. I've just got to put the new ones back in.
Once the new bearings are in, then it's reaming time on the bench to create a custom fit for the kingpin.
So this is a reamer. The whole idea of this is, as you go down and then come back out again, you can adjust it and it gets wider, which means then you go back down and slowly the hole gets bigger and bigger. But what I don't want to do is go too big, because this needs to be a snug fit in there.
With reaming, there are tiny margins between success and failure.
Not quite there yet. So close. The last bit's being very stubborn.
At the repair lot, Derek has been prepping a kingpin. Now he needs to see if it'll fit on the Jaguar.
There we go. How do? That's a real snug fit. I like that. Oh yes, let's go. Let's go. Oh yes. Oh, look at that. Hey, I'm really pleased with this. There's no snagging, there's no movement. Guy's steering will be really good. He'll be really pleased with this.
The big Jag now comes together fast. Both back and front, the rusty old brake system is reborn as cleaned-up kit with rebuilt shoes all round. A brake check on the jacked-up front wheels is the best test to see if all the hard work's been worthwhile.
If you spin the wheel, I'll just squeeze the brakes for you.
OK, you ready?
I'll just find the right one. Ready?
Yep. Yep.
How's that?
Yeah, that's great. That's
Good.
so solid. Cool.
Yeah?
Yeah, that'll stop you. That's going to be really good.
Brake rebuild complete, front and back. Time for a test spin around the yard. It's been 50 years since it drove like a proper car. Have the team got the Jaguar purring?
This actually feels better already, Hannah. I mean, yeah, I just coming out of that, coming around this corner.
So the steering feels a lot lighter and more
responsive.
That's good.
Look at that, look. Much better.
That's a great job that we've done on that. What about the brakes?
Ready for the big moment?
Yeah.
Here we go. And ready.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with that.
Yeah, me too.
Good job.
The 1946 Jaguar is finally ready. A much-loved family heirloom and rolling project, it didn't steer and wouldn't brake, but it had good bones. Now, owner Guy has returned to see whether his saloon has edged closer to being road-ready. On his wish list, a car that runs, steers and stops.
Hey.
Hi, Guy.
How's it going, Charlie?
Very well, thank you.
Nice
How
to
are
see
you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Have you missed the car?
I have, yeah. It's been a while, hasn't it? The garage has been empty. I've swept it once. I mean, that's the first time in 4 years, so I think that's commitment.
Would you mind helping me take the cover off so we can have a look at the car? No surprise paint jobs.
Yeah. Cool, brilliant, okay. That seems great.
One of the big problems that you had with this car was bringing it to a stop. So Hannah and Derek went around all 4 drum brakes. They've taken them apart, they've cleaned them, they've restored as many of the components as possible, and I can assure you it does come to a stop.
Okay, that's brilliant. That'll make a massive difference, obviously, to driving ability, yeah.
The steering was also causing you some serious issues, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It was very vague, so that if you held the steering wheel in one position, the car could veer off in either direction, and you'd have to sort of correct it all the time.
Well, Hannah and Derek went through the entire front end of that car with a fine-tooth comb, and it actually turned out it was the kingpins. There was an awful lot of play in them, and they've been replaced, and it's all been reset.
Oh, that's a relief, yeah, because, as I say, it was almost unsafe. Well, it was unsafe, really, to drive it as it was, so, yeah, you do need good steering in a car, yeah. I don't think it'll become my daily commuter car, but, yeah, it's certainly going to be a regular use now. That'd be great.
The Jaguar Saloon, a relic from another age, given a new lease of life in the 21st century. What a motor.
Well, it's certainly an eye-catching car, and it's presented some proper challenges for the team in the workshop, but it's been an absolute joy.
Yeah, thanks very much, and appreciate it.
There's no break for the team, because back on the Mini, the replacement part for the carburettor has arrived.
Up and compare it. So basically it was this part here that was kinked, and it comes as a whole new part, which is really handy. But yep, that looks the same to me.
Hannah has already replaced a frayed fuel line on the outside. Now it's time to connect the new part and meticulously build the carburettor back up.
So I've hit a bit of a problem, and it's quite typical of classic cars, really, because some things have been changed, and what I've got is an issue. I don't have a gasket that fits, so I've got a collection of gaskets here, and none of them line up, not as well as this old gasket. So what I'm going to have to do is make a new one up using gasket paper and use this as the old template, and then cut myself a new one.
After 15 years working on classic cars, Hannah knows all the best workarounds, like using special paper to make a one-off gasket by hand.
Quite fiddly, but also quite satisfying.
Eventually, the gasket is prepped, the carb is reassembled, and it's bolted back on the Mini motor.
Right, that all looks good. Gonna give it a go. Right, moment of truth. Perfect. That is really, really good. And it's idling really smooth as well. So that's a real good job, well done.
The team hope this social media star car is ready for its next photo shoot. It's down to Derek to give it a final road test.
I'm really, really excited about it. I mean, it's transformed the car. From the suspension to the seat to the engine tuning. Where before it was all show and no go, now I think we're all show and we're going. It is just a delightful little car to drive.
Today, Azim returns with high hopes for his misfiring Mini. When he dropped it off, the car looked the part, but the shine soon wore off as the team tackled sagging seats, a shocking suspension and an engine that ran rough. Charlie's here to explain the massive Mini mods.
Azim, how
Lovely
you
to
doing?
meet you again. How are you doing? Nice
Welcome
to
back
see you.
to the workshop.
Thank you for having me.
Bet you can't guess what's underneath there.
I think it's my missing left leg.
Ah, so you've missed the car then?
Yeah, I use it daily, so I've missed it a lot.
Well, we'll take the cover off, shall we? And show you what we've been up to in the workshop.
This is the moment of truth.
Yeah.
It's been too long. So it looks great.
The suspension has been reset, but it's also maintained that beautiful stance that the car has.
It looks lovely. It looks lovely. I'm very pleased with it.
Should we get in that cabin and turn the car over?
I can't wait.
How's that feeling?
Very nice. The seats are very snug. It feels like a different seat altogether.
So Freya, who works in our trim shop, she's basically rebuilt the sides of these seats so it fits your body and it just makes it a really comfortable ride.
It's very snug. I love it. Much, much better. May I?
You may.
That sounds perfect.
Yeah?
That sounds like a racing car. It sounds how it should do.
Yeah.
I love it.
I've got one last thing to show you.
Okay.
You know that button that you've got?
Yeah.
If you press it, you're going to find out it's something quite cool. That's right.
I love it. I love it. That's what I've always wanted. Always wanted one of those. That's quality. I love it.
Derek added the surprise air horn as a final mod to the Mini. A tiny car with a huge personality.
It sounds so much better than it did before. It feels more responsive. It feels smoother. It handles so much better. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it, I have to say. It feels nice and tight, which is how it should feel. Like, it should feel like a go-kart, you know? And it certainly does. It's such a fun car to be in. Oh, yeah, and the horn is... I do like that.